Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Audacious Black Girl podcast. This is your host, Amanda. So, I'm an empowerment coach. I'm also a clinical therapist. And in the Audacious Black Girl podcast platform, we talk about all things healing, mindset, empowerment, self care, all the woo woo, and all the goodness, because we need all these things to help us be our absolute best self and audacious selves. So I'm super excited today. Today I'm talking to Kristin Winchester. She is a clinical therapist and also a wellness coach. So I'll let her introduce herself a bit more in a second. But today we're going to talk all about boundaries. Now, boundaries is one of my favorite things to talk about. So I think this is going to be a fantastic conversation, a needed conversation for everyone. But yes, welcome, Kristin. Let the people know who you are and where to reach you. I like to give that in the beginning as well.
Okay, well, let's jump right into it. First of all, thank you
Yes.
so much for having me. I'm super excited to have this conversation today. And
Yes.
I am Kristin Winchester. And like Amanda said, I am a licensed clinical therapist. I'm a wellness and boundaries coach. And I really work with millennial women of color on really just walking into their power, right? And, trusting, like you said, trusting themselves more and, really owning who they are unapologetically without the guilt. And I started my private practice, her therapy space in June 2019. And we have just been thriving and growing since then. It's just been an amazing journey to serve so many women in our community. We're based in Washington, D.C. And we
Yes.
also, work with people all over the world, online and connect with women
Mm,
all over the world.
nice. That is so amazing. I'm located in Maryland, so we're kind of close together. Maybe one day we'll get together, but it's beautiful to hear that you have your practice and you're serving so many women. And I do want to get into that a little bit. But let's get started talking about boundaries. Like, how do you define boundaries? What does that mean to you?
So to me, it just essentially means that you are, identifying what your needs are, what the guidelines are for, having someone, connect with you and be in relationship with you, whether that's personally or professionally, and just essentially being able to communicate those things to whoever needs to hear those things. So I essentially think it's, just you setting the foundation
Mm.
for working with someone or being in partnership with someone and friends, family, all across the board in relationships.
I love that you said that. I love that you said that the foundation is the foundation of you, because that is what sets you up for success. That's what sets you up for being able to live in your truth and
Yeah.
essentially do the things that you want to do. Because what we know to be true is that things come up, people interfere, or things in our life. And if we are the kind of people, I know I'm the kind of person where you say yes all the time, or you take on more than you can chew, or you just kind of act like it's okay when it really isn't. You know
Right.
what I mean? Whether that's in a relationship or in employment or whatever it might be. So I'm glad that you said the foundation, because that really is healthy boundary setting. I think is such a value, such a core value. What have you found to be the biggest challenges for people when it comes to not only setting boundaries, but maintaining boundaries?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I think number one, a lot of women aren't clear on what they actually want for themselves. Or if they are clear, they're
Mm,
afraid to communicate that because they're afraid of rejection and abandonment, or afraid to be looked at as mean. And us essentially communicating how to be in relationship with us isn't mean. You know what I mean?
mm,
And a lot of people, it stops them in their tracks from actually having those conversations that can actually strengthen their relationship. So it's that fear that prevents them from moving forward with communicating and advocating for themselves. And I've been there. So
mm.
I know how hard it is. I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Yeah, yeah.
And that led me, I was in a relationship where I ended up somewhere I didn't want to live because of the person that I was in partnership with, and ended up, clinically depressed, diagnosed clinically depressed as a result of me
Mhm.
not standing up and saying, wait, I don't want this for my life. This is what you
Yeah.
want,
Yeah.
and following that person. And I could have saved so much heartache and pain if I would have just stood in my truth, used my
Mhm.
voice, and expressed what I wanted.
You say standing if you would have stood in your truth, but at that time, did you know what standing in your truth was? Because I think that's something, I went through that myself. Like when I first got married, and I talk about this on a platform often. When I first got married and became a mom, like boundaries, like I didn't know what that was. I didn't know who I was. And it took a lot for me to get to where I needed to be, but I didn't know what my truth was. I didn't know what that felt like. So how did you identify that part of it?
And you're right. I couldn't put that language to it. I didn't really
Mm,
know any of this, right? But I knew that deep down inside, because we have intuition, and we know how we feel, when certain things come up. And I just knew deep down in my gut that something wasn't right, and
mm,
that I didn't make the decision to move to Georgia
mm,
personally. I knew that I was just doing it because of the other person. So I
mm.
knew that that was inauthentic to what I
Ooh,
wanted
yeah.
for my life.
I love that. But then you actually listened to that feeling, that gut feeling, that intuition, as you stated. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't.
But it took me some time, right? It took me
Yeah.
some time to get out of that situation and to leave and close that door. So I know that's pretty normal, right?
Yeah.
It takes time and it takes work. And once that light bulb went off, though, I had to
Mm.
get the heck out of Dodge and really do some
Yeah.
work for myself, because I
Mm.
was in a deep dark place at that time.
Mm. So was your healing process, of course, compounded with the boundary setting? Like, how did you merge all of that, the healing and the boundary setting?
Right. So first I had to get clear on what I wanted for my life, right? I knew
Mhm.
that wasn't it, but what actually is it that I want for myself? Because I was fresh out of graduate school, wasn't really clear on where I wanted to go
Mm.
career-wise. So I had to really do some soul searching and sit down with myself and figure out what it is that I wanted to pursue professionally, what I wanted a healthy relationship to look like for me. At the time when I was down there, I gained 40 pounds as a result of me being depressed. So, really getting back to myself physically, right? Everything was connected. So
Mm. Yeah.
every piece of my life was in shambles.
Mm.
And I really had to like pull myself out and just spend time with myself, getting to know
Mm.
myself again, falling in love with who I
Mm.
am.
That's major. That's major.
hmm
That's major because the first thing that goes is yourself, I think, when you're in these situations where, whether it's a relationship or whatever it might be, where you're feeling lost,
Yeah.
right? So, really being able to turn in and, like you're saying, figure out, okay, who is it that I want to be? Who am I?
Right.
Who am I really? Right? I know for me personally, back when, like I said, first married and having a child, like it was difficult. I remember asking myself so many times, who's Amanda?
Mm.
Who is Amanda? And I have a very supportive husband. And he recognized that you're not taking care of yourself. You're not who you are.
Mm.
And it took him assisting me with that. But the first thing I had to do was go, who is Amanda?
Right.
And I had to establish those boundaries once I figured that out. So I love that you're saying figuring yourself out and taking the time to do so. Because some people, I think it's difficult for a lot of people, I think, to just sit down and be curious about who am I,
Right. Right.
right?
We do not take the time to do that work. We're hustling and bustling and grinding and, trying to follow these achievements, because a lot of times
Mm,
with the clients that I work with, their worth is tied to the work that they
mm,
do and their achievements. And if you strip
mm.
all that away, what is at the
Yeah.
core?
Oh, yeah. Oh
And
yeah, that's the
sometimes
truth.
they don't want to face what's at the core. They're afraid to do that.
Oh my goodness. That's such a true statement. That is, and that in my clinical practice, I've come across that. And I think honestly,
Mhm.
this is such a regular thing, such a normal thing, I think. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because life happens and, we go this way and that way. And there's so many things we have to deal with that we just go. We just
right.
go. But stripping down to that core and taking that time to figure out who am I, which just only sets you up for success. And it allows you to recognize too, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, that you are worthy of setting boundaries.
Yes,
You are
absolutely.
worthy of setting
Mm.
boundaries.
A
Do
lot
you
of women
find that
don't
in your
believe that.
practice? Say it again.
I said a lot of women don't believe that.
Yeah. So, what do you find then in your support of women dealing with boundaries? Um, what causes them to not have those or really be lacking in those feelings of self worth?
Mhm.
What do you think that is for them?
Well, I think, as a society, a lot of times a lot of these roles are put on us, and we're the helpers, and we overextend ourselves, and we want to show up and be excellent at everything that we do,
Mhm.
and
That's
in
true.
all of our relationships, we want to make the people in our lives happy, right?
Yeah.
um in a society, we're told, kind of told that this is how a woman should operate,
Mhm.
and putting yourself last, right? Long as everyone else is
Mhm.
good.
Very true.
And then that's where the guilt comes in, when you
Oh,
do want
yeah.
to, you think about, wait, maybe I do want to take a break, or maybe I am
Mhm.
working too much, but I can afford to stop.
Ooh, that part.
I can't afford to stop. And if I
Yeah.
do, then I'm lazy. I'm, not good
Yeah.
enough. I'm not valuable enough if I am not productive.
Mm, mm. That's a whole preach right there. It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. When we step into these roles, no matter what it is, we always feel like we have to perform, right?
Yes.
Especially as women, there's so much pressure put on us to perform and
Hmm.
to be a certain way and to look a certain way,
Yep.
especially as Black women.
Yes.
We're dealing, like you're saying, dealing with societal, institutional,
Yep.
environmental, social, all these things, not let alone our upbringing as Black women. Can we talk about that for a second?
It's so many layers here, right?
There's so many layers. Let's just talk about that for a second. A lot of us, I know in my experience, and I'll speak for myself, and the women that I do therapy with and coaching, they don't have good examples.
Hmm.
They don't have good examples. And it takes a lot of mindset shift and unlearning
Right.
to really recognize that, you know what happened back then, like whatever your moms, your aunties, the women that raised you, the adults in life, whatever they did, maybe they had to do.
Yeah.
But now, like, you can make a choice. You can't make, and that's
Mm.
saying as everyone's experience. There's people who definitely had, women in their lives who really were about boundaries and self care, but
Hmm.
that's such a huge factor.
Right. Like
Such
you
a huge
said, they
factor.
had to step up to the plate, and
Mhm.
take on everything. And it's a generational cycle that I think
Mm.
now our generation is finally starting to, realize, okay,
Yeah.
like you said, we have power and choice, and we are able, to actually, figure out what we want our life to look like and go after
Yeah.
that, unapologetically. But like you said, it takes a lot of unlearning. It
Yeah.
doesn't happen overnight,
Mhm.
and then it changes in different seasons.
It
So
does. Yeah.
it's ultimately, you're going to always be doing this work. I'm doing
And
it
that's the
right now
thing.
again with
Yes.
being a new mom,
Mm.
trying to
Oh,
figure out
yes.
who the heck I am again in this new season, and getting
Yeah.
back to basics, getting back to me, asking for help, which has always
Mhm.
been a struggle for me.
Yeah. It's a
So,
journey. It's
yeah.
a journey. All of it is a journey. And this is why you say healing and not healed, right?
Mm,
Because you don't really truly, oh, I'm healed, I'm done. No, because something can just re-trigger, something else can pop up, like you said, life situations, the season that you're in. This is why it's a healing journey. And you have to maintain those habits to help you so you can sustain.
right.
Because, and that's growth mindset too, I think, right?
Yes.
That's growth mindset and knowing that, I have to continue this. This isn't something I'm like, oh, I'm done.
But a
It's
lot of
such a process.
Right. But a lot of the women that I work with, I can only speak for, the work that I
Yeah.
do, that I've done and the people I've worked with, their mindset is rooted in lack and scarcity, right? And that
Mm.
fear-based mindset of, oh, this person, I'll lose this person, or I'll lose out on an
Mm.
opportunity if I say no to this project, and or lose out on a client. And like you said, that it's very important to embrace that abundance and growth
Yeah.
mindset, so that you can really prioritize yourself and your needs, and recognize that if you were to miss out on an opportunity, there's a million more coming in the pipeline.
Yeah.
If you are to lose this person, then they weren't meant for you anyways. If they can't respect your boundaries and,
Mhm.
be in relationship with you in a way that feels comfortable and safe for you, then you didn't need them anyways.
Exactly.
So I really try to empower my clients to recognize that you may be fearful, right? You may have to do it scared, and use your
Yeah.
voice, even when it trembles, and
Mhm.
state what you
Mhm.
want. And then if a person is not receptive of that, then you dodged a bullet. Look at it as a
Mm.
positive versus a negative.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It like the blessings and lessons along the way,
Right.
right? The blessings and lessons along the way.
Mm.
It's not going to be easy. There're going to be challenges, but can you? My dad, he told me this when I was younger, and it's like my mantra is picking up the blessings along the way because you're going to go through these issues and challenges, but what's there for you to learn? That's also mindset shift, growth mindset. What is here for me to learn?
Yeah.
How can I use this so I can step out, step away, be better for myself, whatever the situation might be. But it takes a lot to get there once again. And it takes these kinds of conversations, talking about boundaries and what it looks like for people to kind of go, you know what? Maybe I do need to do something small, whatever it might be, so I can start establishing those boundaries.
Exactly. And I'm glad
Mhm.
that you created a platform for women to hear these
Mm,
conversations,
thank
because
you.
and get it out to the masses, because
Hmm.
it is something that we're working to shift, and it's going to take, a lot of us to really, come together, as a
Hmm.
community and sisterhood, and really,
Yes.
have these conversations and do this healing work with the support of our, folks, our
Hmm.
circle, our sister circle, so that we can, change the trajectory of generations to come after
Oh
us.
yeah. Oh yeah, so true. Like you said, that generational aspect of this is super critical. Um, like I have two daughters and a son. My daughter is 16, my son is almost 14, and my little 7-year old. And I'm really big on teaching them, one, breaking the generational thing, because I didn't see that growing up, like boundaries and self care and all that. So, really breaking that so that they can have someone that's modeling it for them. Even my husband, modeling boundaries, and for me, whether that's me like shutting my door, stating, hey, I'm recording a podcast, don't come up, or that's
Right.
me going, you know what, I'm doing yoga in my room, please like stay down. It's establishing those boundaries and it's also showing them, oh, it's okay to take
Yeah.
that time. You have to be so visible, I think, as a parent. And I know you said you're a new mom, um, teaching our kids what it's like, what it means, what it looks like for you to set boundaries and put yourself first.
Right. And that's the thing. A lot of times we weren't given the opportunity to be
Mhm.
humans We were looked at
Mm,
as, kids without voices and emotions and
mm,
needs, right?
oh, yes.
But
Oof.
children need things as well, and we have to be
Mhm.
able to allow them to voice those and create that safe space for them so that they can
Yeah.
grow up into adult humans who are
Yeah,
able to communicate their feelings and what they need.
that is the truth. Like me and my husband, a long time ago, we said, you know what, when they were little, we're raising adults.
Yep.
They're kids, but we're raising adults. And, we don't dictate their life, but like there are certain foundational things that you want them to know as they kind of grow. And at least I think in my family and probably in the Black community too, we're unlearning all these things, but really making sure that we are allowing our children the space to have boundaries, allowing our children the space to say no, allowing our children the space to say yes, all those
Right.
things. Because as I think about growing up and the opportunities I had to say no or yes, they were very few. You felt like you had to do certain things, and not saying don't listen to your mom or your dad or whoever the people that raised you, but the freedom and the power that comes in having choice.
Yeah.
We need to some way somehow like provide that to our kids and model that for them for sure to break that generational aspect of all of this.
Yeah. So that we don't, like you said, follow in the footsteps
Hmm. Yeah.
and be inauthentic to who we are.
Mm, yeah. Let's talk about that. The authenticity that comes with establishing boundaries. What does that mean?
So that means that you are ultimately, super clear on who you are, what you want, and then you're able to communicate that and essentially live that out, right? So whether
Hmm.
it's boundaries within yourself or having to speak up for yourself in the workplace
Hmm.
or in a relationship, and really doing that in a way that feels good to you. If anything
Hmm.
does not feel good to you, why are you engaging in it? So
Hmm.
really getting clear on what feels good and what doesn't, and then
Yeah.
living that out.
What I'm hearing a lot too is that self reflection aspect of it,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
Recognizing it and getting clear on it. Um, and always be reflecting, always be, I feel, learning yourself because things change, situations change, you know, but learning yourself should be a constant practice and journey. And I'm wondering too, what's some verbiage? Because you mentioned communication. Some of us are really it's hard to communicate, right? Or to really put ourselves first and say certain statements. But what are some statements someone can say, I think, for if they're in a situation where they want to start establishing those boundaries? What are some examples?
hmm I'm big on using I statements,
Hmm.
and say, for instance, someone did something that was off putting to you in a relationship and you wanted to communicate that, right? I felt X, Y, and Z when you did
Hmm.
X, Y, and Z. It's important for me to be able to feel comfortable in this certain situation, and I would appreciate it,
Hmm.
if going forward it could look like X, Y, and Z, right? So,
Yeah.
stating, what actual offense was, right?
Yes.
And stating why it's important to you, for it to be an alternative here, stating how you feel about it. And sometimes we don't have to give these long, drawn out explanations,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Because sometimes it's a no, period.
Yeah.
And that's it. You don't need an
Exactly.
explanation. But if it's, for instance, a romantic partner,
Hmm.
you're essentially letting them know how to treat you, and be in
Yeah.
relationships so that the relationship can be healthy and thrive, right? And vice versa. That person should feel comfortable to be
Mm.
able to say
So true.
when they need something or if you did something that they didn't like or appreciate. So it goes
So
both
true.
ways.
It does. And um, what would you tell someone who is the one that's overstepping someone else's boundaries?
Mhm.
Because that's real too.
Mhm. to don't take it like a personal attack when
Hmm.
someone is communicating how they're feeling or what they need from you. Look at it as an opportunity to be able to, serve this person more fully and to strengthen that bond that you all have.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
only meant to strengthen it, and if it does sever the relationship, then that foundation was rocky from the beginning, anyways.
Absolutely.
So just looking at it as an opportunity to grow, when you're in,
That part. Hmm.
uh-huh,
Very
and not
true.
taking it as an attack.
Yeah. And and also I think what you're saying too is not looking at boundaries as a wall. Because I think people when they think boundaries, they think, okay, shut out or
Right.
wall instead of door,
Yeah,
right?
welcoming
I'll
in.
in- I'll
And
welcome you in
yep,
when I'm ready. No matter what the situation or environment, I'll welcome this when I'm ready and I'll close this door when I want to as well. So not viewing boundaries as a wall, but instead of a door, right?
absolutely.
A two and also just a two-way door.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want someone to respect your boundaries, you have to be willing to do the same and respect them, you know?
Mhm.
And like you said, it's not meant to shut people out and for you to create this wall where you're, isolating and, being essentially alone,
Mhm.
but you're allowing the space for you to be comfortable, and be safe and seen in the relationships
Mm.
that you are in. And in order for that to be, to take place, is important to remember that boundaries are can be flexible.
Yeah.
You can change your mind.
Mhm.
One day you can feel a certain way, and the next you can say, hey, I'm feeling this
Very
today.
true. Very true.
So just
Very
because
true.
you establish boundaries today doesn't mean that it's rigid and has to stay the same.
I love that you said that, flexible. Boundaries are flexible. We grow. The person you are tomorrow is not the person you are today. You know what I mean? It's just we are going to grow every single day and change every day, and allowing your boundaries to be flexible as you grow, super critical. Super critical because some people might take it, I don't want to say too far, right? But there
Hmm.
is that situations where like you're not inviting happiness or joy because you're putting boundaries in places that are blocking that from happening. So I think it's just a
Absolutely.
mindful practice, right? Of okay, I'm not happy, I'm not feeling joyous, what am I blocking?
Absolutely. And a lot of times people are not being mindful, and, they're just responding and
Mm,
very quickly, right, to request or ask. And then they're like, "Oh shoot, I actually don't want to do this thing. How can I get
mm-hmm,
out of this?" So, and they end up doing things that they ultimately didn't want to do because they didn't take the time out to really be mindful and think about what it is that I want in this moment. Would
mm-hmm.
this, feel like a burden, or will it feel like something that I'll actually be excited about?
I love that. Yeah.
So, not responding to requests right away. We don't have
Mm-hmm.
to respond. We can say, "Hey, I'm going to take some time to get back to you. I'm going to think it through and get back to you."
Yeah.
Or ask other questions to determine if it's something that you want to take on. What would be the commitment, time commitment,
Mm-hmm.
or what would you need from me in detail so that I
Oh
can
yes.
determine if this is something that I want.
I love that. Get the details. Get the details. And that goes into everything, but I'm thinking about work. I'm thinking about, get togethers or whatever it might be. Like, I need some details. Like, what kind of energy do I need to spend
Yep.
for this?
Yep.
If it's something else, I know I'm going to feel drained, then you know what? Maybe not. Maybe next time, perhaps. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just, you know what? No, I'm not in that mood for that. And being okay with say it's hard to say no, you know what I mean? But like you said, you're a people pleaser. I think a lot of people are people pleasers. I for sure am one or was one. But saying no is so hard, so difficult. Personally, right now, I kind of took on a lot recently.
Uh-huh.
And I literally sat down today and wrote my undoing list.
Oh, that's
So
good.
I wrote down everything that I have going on and that I need to address or whatever. I think I have like a list of 10 things. Some of it is just like whatever little things, but I'm going in and I'm marking, okay, essentially like what's a need, what's a want, and what's a thing I can let go. Because I need to take some things off my plate. Because
Oh.
I was in a season of yes for a while. And that's not Manda. That's not Manda. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what was going on. I'm in a season of undoing right now.
But it's a good thing that you're recognizing, like, wait a minute, I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing a little too much. I'm putting a little too much on my plate. I'm feeling stretched thin.
Mm.
I'm not
Mm.
feeling good or great about this. What can I
No.
do now to
Yes.
undo those yeses?
Oh my
I hope you all
gosh.
are listening to that practice about, and whip out your paper and
Listen,
start jotting down your undo list, your undoing list.
man.
Oh, that's
It
powerful.
is because when you are in those seasons when you are happy and you're feeling just like, yes, I can do it all, and you're taking on it all. No, like, and then you realize, ooh, that was a crazy week. Like, why did I say yes to all the things? Because now
Yeah,
I'm just like, okay, but yeah, undoing list. Yeah, do y'all undoing list and just kind of, take away those things that you don't need to, or at least identify what's really important to you. What's really important to you. And that just makes things so much more clearer for you. And those are boundaries right there.
absolutely. Yes. What are those priorities in this season?
Mm-hmm.
And then
I
what
love
do
it.
you need to invite more of into your life or
Mm-hmm. Or
say bye bye
less.
to?
Say
Right.
bye-bye. I don't need it. Yeah. And here's the thing, people will be okay. When you say no, people will survive.
And
Because
what
we tend to go ahead.
I was just about to say, and what worked for me with that, and I'm sorry for
No, you're
cutting you
good.
off, recognizing that if someone came to me and said, you know what, Kristin, I'm not feeling this anymore. I'm just going to sit tonight out. I'm going to say, okay, and keep it moving. I'm not going to
Yeah.
be upset. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be, happy, that you honored
Mm-hmm.
your needs in that moment.
Oh
And I
my
respect
gosh,
that.
yes.
So when I work with clients, I'm like, would you be upset or would you, throw a fit with this person or not respect their boundary? And they're like, no, I wouldn't. Then why do you think that you'll be met with opposition if you were to communicate your
Mm.
needs and boundaries?
Exactly. And if someone is, that's okay for them to be upset. You're putting yourself first. And all that's
Yep.
doing is teaching them and showing them
Yep.
that you matter and that what you feel matters. And it just sets you up for whatever that situation is, for
Right.
them to expect, okay, they're going to put themselves first. And we all want that, right?
Right.
Like you're saying about, if someone tells you, I'm not feeling it tonight, and you're like, I honor that. I did that most recently. Someone told me they couldn't do something. No, I honor the fact that you have all these things going on and that you're listening to yourself
Yep.
and doing what you feel is right. But that comes from when you have your own kind of, you know, boundary setting in mind and understand that it's important for other people to set their boundaries.
Right. But those
Mm.
people, when they do, get upset, and that's an opportunity for them to grow personally,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this person just told me that they didn't want to do this, maybe I can give myself permission to do that as well.
Ooh, yeah.
So we
That
have to,
modeling.
yes, we have to
Ooh,
model these
yeah.
behaviors.
Oh, yes. You never know who you'll impact.
Yep.
You never know who you'll impact. And I think something to recognize too is for those of us that are the strong friend or the strong sister, the strong whoever, and you tend to take on a lot, definitely do some self reflection on that because I'm one of those people and everyone comes to me. You're a therapist, so I don't know if what led you to therapy, but for me, it was everyone coming to me and like, oh, I can
Yep.
help. And it's
Yep.
great. I love what I do, but you got to put those boundaries in place because one, it's going to affect you in your relationships, in your practice.
Yes.
everything. So if
Yes.
you are that person, I'm talking to you.
I learned the
We're
hard
talking
way.
to you.
Right. Me
Reflect.
personally, I learned the hard way.
Oh,
And even in
yes.
work, right? I was seeing 7 to 9 clients a day at one point, and now I'm seeing 2 to 3 max, 1 to 3
Mm,
actually, 3 days a week. And it's just, I feel
love
so
it.
much lighter, and I'm able to show up more fully for those people
Yes.
because I'm not as stretched thin as I was when I was seeing 7 to 9 people a day, skipping lunch
Crazy.
breaks and
Listen.
just skipping out on sleep. And yeah, I was looking crazy.
All the things. Oh my gosh. I think that's what I'm currently going through. So I work full time, but I also do clinical therapy with university students, college students, and it's on my own time, but I have my set days. But it picked up because the kids are, students are back in school.
Uh-huh.
So I found that I've been like literally booking my schedule in a way that I normally wouldn't. I
Mhm.
normally would do a client for, an hour and then take a 30-minute break and then see another one. But I was like, boom, 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 back to back. And I had to take a
Mhm.
step back. And this was a part of my undoing. I took a step back and said, man, that's not what you do. What, girl? No. So that's changing. I've adjusted my schedule for when students can, select times. But I was in a feel good season. I'm like, yeah, I'm helping. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I'm like, oh no, girl, like that's the undoing.
Right. I was about to ask, like, what do you think led you to overbooking yourself? And you just
Oh,
answered that for me.
yeah. Well, that and then like I feel like there was a need,
Mhm.
right? You're in this line of work. When you're a therapist, you're in this line of work. You're like, I'm helping people and they need me. No, they don't. They do, but their emergency is not your emergency.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And right. And I had to just remind myself, like, this is, and then too, for me, it was like, man, this is not what you do. I found
Mhm.
myself saying that a couple of times over the past few weeks because normally when I am at work and I'm eating my breakfast or whatever, like I turn my screens off, I turn away and I eat, or I always go outside for a walk. And there was like a couple days where I was like, no, I'm just gonna work it because I got a ton of emails and da 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 da.
Mhm.
And my inner voice said, man, it's not what you do. Who are
Uh-huh.
you? And I was like, oh, okay. And I turned around. It was that critical reminder of this is not
Yeah,
who you are.
right. And got back into
So
alignment really
get back
quickly.
into alignment. And I recognize it's the fact that, I was just in a season of doing and feeling good and happy and all these things are working out for me. And now I'm just like, yeah, you got to be mindful when you're in that happy season and taking on more than you can chew for sure.
Learning experiences,
Learning.
like
That's
you
all it
said.
is, right? The
Yeah.
lessons and the blessings. Because it's a
Yes.
blessing to be doing what you do, but the lesson is stop doing the most. Stop doing the most. You don't have to. The world will be okay.
Absolutely.
The world will be
Absolutely.
okay. So I wanted to talk about you have the Better Boundaries Boot Camp. Can you talk about that a little bit and what that's about?
Yeah, so I created it for women service-based entrepreneurs who are, like you just said, doing the most. They're overwhelmed, they're taking on
Mhm.
too much client work, and they are stressed out. And they want something different. They know they want something different for their lives and their businesses, but they can't
Mhm.
quite identify what they need to put into practice in order to make that happen. And they are looking for support and accountability in this area so that they can step up and advocate for themselves, and create a life and business with more ease.
Mm.
So I help them essentially get clear on their identity and what they want in this season and how that translates to what boundaries need to be put into place. And but we also touch on a learning piece, right? What are those ways of thinking that are preventing you from stepping up for yourself and, using your voice, right? What kind of
I love
unlearning
that.
can we do here? So, my
Mm.
3-step framework is release, rediscover, realign.
Mm. I love that.
Releasing those ways of thinking that aren't serving us,
Mhm.
rediscovering who we are and what we need in this season, and
Mhm.
realigning our daily habits and our lifestyle so that it looks the
Mm.
way we want it to.
I love that you're doing that. Like you said, people helping profession or service profession, or on any profession, I think where you are serving something
Yes.
can benefit from this because you tend to overextend yourself because you realize you have these tools and these skills and you're a natural teacher and giver.
Yeah.
But in that, you have to find the harmony with the doing and the undoing and recognizing, okay, how can I move forward with all of that so I can continue to serve, but do it in a way where I'm still serving myself. So I love that you do that, especially the realigning part. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Yeah, you mentioned that serving yourself, that's the biggest piece of the puzzle here. You have
Mm-hmm.
to serve you so that you can show up fully and make impact in the work
Mm-hmm.
that you do and in the lives of the women or men, whoever you work with,
Yeah.
so that they can do that healing work that they need, right? I
Mm.
know when I was in that season where I was showing up, seeing 7 to 9 clients, that wasn't me operating in integrity. That was,
Mm.
because I was showing up half, listening. I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired. I'm not fully present,
Yep. Yep.
and that impacts our
It
clients.
does. And you model it. You're modeling as when you're in these professions, you're
Yeah,
modeling those behaviors for them because they're looking to you for that too. They're not just
right.
listening to you talk or, oh yeah, she knows me, she understands me. They're looking for you to model that for them as well. So I'm glad that you said that. And even if you don't think people know, they can still sense it because it's your energy. Energy speaks volumes,
Yes,
right? And people can
absolutely.
sense it. Because when you think about it, even like in my experience, when I'm like stressed or overworking, my whole upper body, like I start feeling this, oh, it just hurts and my lower back. So when you have pain in your body and you're still helping other people, that pain is still transmitting out of you.
Ooh,
You
wee.
can't see it, but energetically, it's still transmitting, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So you got to pay attention to those things. Like, where is it showing up in your body? And where can you start putting those boundaries in place so that you can one start feeling better physically? Because everything starts, you start feeling physically, whether it's a headache,
Yep.
ache, pain, whatever it might mean, that's your signal that something is going on and I need to address this.
You
Body
have,
is speaking.
yeah, you have to stop ignoring that.
You
To
have
stop
to.
ignoring that
You
because, like
have
you said,
to.
we're seeing the signs, we're getting all of the feels, but yet we
Hmm.
keep going and literally killing ourselves
Literally.
for the sake
Literally.
of achieving or
Mm.
success.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But then that goes into what we talked about earlier, intuition. Like
Yes.
listening to those signs your body is giving you, listening to just in general the messages that you're receiving that's
Yeah.
signaling to you that we need to make an adjustment here. We need to take a step back. We need to reflect. We need to rediscover. We need to realign and figure out how we're moving forward because this ain't it. This ain't it. But we have to trust our intuition, right?
Yeah.
To listen to it and trust it.
Hmm. That's major.
Absolutely.
That's the major
It's
key.
major. Awesome. This was such an amazing conversation. So I wanted to go into a little game because we're speaking on intuition.
Okay.
I'm every time I do a guest episode, and this is something that I'm new for season 3. So I really want to help us build up our intuition practice and that trust in ourselves because when we trust in ourselves, we start recognizing that we're worthy and that we can do the things that make us feel good and that are healthy for us. So it's going to be 7 questions and you have to answer them quickly. So
Okay.
essentially, the first thing that pops in your mind, you're going to have to trust and give. Okay.
All right.
7 questions. All right. The first one, what's your favorite book or author?
Whew, good question.
I know. I didn't say they were going to be easy.
Gosh, putting me on the spot here.
Yes, that's the point.
Um, I'm
Mm,
stumped.
that's
Nothing.
okay.
My intuition isn't giving me anything
Your
right
intuition
now.
not right now for that? Okay, well, that's okay. We'll come back to that one.
Okay.
What's your favorite mantra, like your go-to mantra or a quote that resonates with you?
you deserve to be well. You deserve to be whole
Mm,
in all ways. And you deserve to honor that.
I love that. So good. Alrighty, next question. That one, okay. Text or phone call?
Text. I'm a textbook introvert, and I hate talking
Yes.
on the phone unless it's my mother.
Yeah, okay. Same. Text me. My husband's like, no, I like picking up the phone and calling. You go do that.
Right.
You text me first. Listen, what is your Mount Rushmore? So essentially, three people that you admire, dead or alive, anyone, people you look up to.
My mother.
Hmm.
Do I have to state why, or just keep
If
going?
you want to, you can.
My mother, because I watched her, go through a lot and really, do a lot of unlearning work in her life,
Mm,
even in her older years, right? But she's still doing that work now. And I just admire that.
mm,
And, she's teaching me, as an adult, I'm, grown, but she's still teaching me by me seeing her do the work for herself. So that's been a blessing to watch. Um, I would have to say my business bestie.
okay.
I admire her. Her name is Shamice Campbell, and she has an accounting firm. And I just love to see her operate in her passion, and and just see how her work just ultimately changes the lives of her clients. So it
Mm,
feels good to see someone in a different industry, going after their dreams and making impact.
beautiful.
You
Anyone
said
else?
three.
Yes.
Um, right now, I'm admiring my new baby boy.
Oh,
Yeah, and just
that's
watching
beautiful.
him grow every day, and he's learning and growing and doing new things, and it's just been a blessing to watch him, as he's navigating the world and figuring things out.
Mm, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay. What brings you joy? And
Be-
listeners, you can play along too. I should have said that in the beginning. What brings you joy?
Being alone in silence,
Mm,
just being still, because we're always such on the go and having to do the most, and I just love to just sit with myself and tune out all of the distractions, the noise, and really, tune in to what I'm feeling in that moment and what I need so that I can show up and be my best self when I'm not
mm.
alone.
Yes. Love that. Love that. That brings me joy too, being by myself. Something you want Black women to know.
Whew,
Yeah.
that it's
Save the best for
okay.
last.
It's okay to ask for help. Just
Mm,
because you could do it all doesn't mean you have to.
mm.
Like,
Love
there
that.
are people in your life that can support you.
Yeah, you do. You just got to find them. You
Right.
just got to find them. Let's go back to your favorite book or author. Did you have one yet?
I would have to say, what comes to mind is Alex L.
Okay, yes.
I love all of her work.
Yes.
The first book that I read from her, I can't quite think of the name right this moment,
Yeah.
but it was years ago at this point when she first
Yeah.
came out with that book. But I love her work.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
I love following her. I've been following her for a very long time too, and love seeing
Hmm.
what she does and her growth and how authentic and real she is. So
Right.
you passed. You did fantastic. And this is really just a practice of
Woo.
intuition, like what pops
Right.
in your head. Because sometimes we think too hard on things, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's not the easiest thing to just trust what's just coming up for you.
Yeah.
So building a fun and gentle practice with it, I think, is always necessary. So
Yeah. That's
thank you for
another.
playing.
No problem. That's another reminder I have for Black women is that you have everything you need. You have the answers within. You know you best.
That part. Oh my gosh. You literally, even as therapists, we're not giving you answers. We're
No.
helping you find it within yourself and helping you bring it to the forefront because No one knows you best but you.
Right.
That's it. That's it. Love that. All right. Last question. I ask everyone this question. What makes you an audacious Black girl?
Whew, I'm living in my truth, and I'm going after everything that I said I would. And
Mm,
I am saying no to the things that don't serve me in this season.
yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. Let the people know where to find you again, like your handles, website. Where can they
Okay.
find you?
So I'm Kristin Winchester LPC on Instagram. My website is KristinWinchesterLPC.com. And then my practice site is hertherapyspace.com. And the handle on Instagram is hertherapyspace.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristen. This was amazing.
It was. Thank
Appreciate,
you.
yes, this is awesome. Thank you to all the listeners. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. But I appreciate every single last one of you. Be well, blessings, and peace.